Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Pope Metallicus, and welcome back to Rock and Roll Religion. And I'm not feeling great, so this is going to be god damn. Sorry about that. Um, this is going to be a shorter one because I'm not feeling great, but I did want to give you guys something. And this album just released a couple of weeks ago, and is absolutely phenomenal. And I think you should all go give it a listen. So today we are talking about Scorched from Overkill. Now, those of you who are fans of the channel know I've loved Overkill for a lot of years. They're one of the best thrash bands out there. Consistently excellent and really just one of the long-term um, defenders of thrash in all of its incarnations. And it's really kind of kick ass. Like I love most of this record. Like there's parts where it dips for me, but and I've heard some guys say that it's a little more progressive than their first or than their earlier output musically. And I dig that about it because I'm always looking for bands to kind of expand their horizons and kind of not change their sound like Metallica did in 91, but try something different and see how it works. And in this case, I think it worked really well because instead of changing their sound, you have a little bit more musical progression and a little bit more bluesy tone to some of it with with the aggression and just straight anger that Overkill is famous for. And all of the same parts are there. Blitz is still behind the mic. Freaking Dee Dee is still the bass player. They did get Jason on this album to uh, play drums, and it freaking shows. The drumming on this is insane. And yeah, Soul Assassin, like I'm not the biggest thrash fan, but I was a fan of this. Like, I can't pick out a bad song on this record. I mean, some of it's better than others. I think the title track is absolutely stellar. And when you look through the track listing, Harder They Fall is pretty good. Know Her Name's fantastic. Fever's excellent. A little more bluesy than I'm used to Overkill sounding, which is outstanding. I love when bands show me something new. So it's one of those moments where 40 years into their career, they've come out with a highlight, man. I can't knock them for it. They really just kill it. Matt G, good to see you, man. Um, yeah, we're still going to do the history of rock and roll stream later this week. So fear not, you will be seeing more of me on my usual regular scheduled program. But yeah, I'm not feeling great. So this is going to be a little bit, or this is going to be way shorter than usual. Just going to be me running my mouth for a few minutes because I think that's about all I can handle at this point. The History of Rock and Roll Part 3 will be happening on schedule. Hopefully, I'll actually have guests for it this time. I know some last minute stuff came up with both of them last week, and none of us could make it for the Beatles in 1965 stream on Scott's channel this week. So we owe you guys 2 episodes at this point, or at least I owe you one, and Scott probably owes you another one. But we are gonna finish that, and due to the response, especially to episode 1, but episode 2 as well, I know you guys really love this shit, so I am going to extend that into the different subgenres of rock and roll going into the 70s. So we're gonna cover Black Sabbath. We're gonna cover Judas Priest. God, are we ever gonna cover Judas Priest? They'll probably have their own episode. But the history of heavy metal as a whole, punk. We're gonna get some more punk content on this channel because I do like it. It's just forget about it most of the time because I'm dealing with other stuff. And we'll probably have Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs and a couple of other people who are old school punk fans and know the lore a lot better than I do back on the channel, because the last thing I want to do is give you guys bad information. So we're going to be doing that. That'll be after the next episode, though. The next episode is going to be 65 to 70, roughly, because I tried not to go beyond 65 too much for the previous one. And so we'll go through most of the Vietnam era music, most of the rise of heavy metal, the end of the Beatles, sadly, we'll get into a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But this album, pretty much from minute one, is just savage from start to finish. Absolutely recommended. It's a brand new one, so I always love covering new stuff. As much as I enjoy digging through metal history and stuff like that, I love finding new shit I can bring to you guys and get you into. Soul Assassin can tell you that's exactly one of the reasons I started this channel, was to get you guys listening to these albums too. So I really think you should pick it up if you can. If not, listen to it on YouTube, see if it's your kind of thing. At least give it a spin. You owe it to yourself to at least do that. And give the whole album a spin, not just one or two tracks, because there's some stuff in here that will surprise you, I think, with how good it is. I think the whole album is only like 45, 50 minutes, so it's not all that long, at least in the span of modern albums. The production on this is absolutely astounding. You can hear everything that's going on. Dee Dee's bass lines have never been clearer, and that's outstanding on this record. Like I said, the drumming has never been better. Blitz still sounds like himself. Like, it's all. I mean, this is what a band sounds like when they are firing on all cylinders and really just trying to give you the best performance they can, rather than trying to crap out another album because their label says to. And it's their first release in 4 years, I believe. So good to see them again. We've got a lot of bands coming out with new records this year. Ghost is coming out with another one. I think it might already be out, actually. They released Jesus He Knows Me on Easter Sunday, which, God tier trolling, boys. God tier. And stellar song, too. Absolutely go listen to that. And you have Anthem, a band I haven't talked about on this channel, but I love to death. Huge Japanese metal band. Coming out with new material, I think, at the end of this month. And it's really just been a nonstop cavalcade of new material from bands we know and love. And there's new stuff. Air Raid, like I covered a couple episodes ago, just released a new album. So they're covering a lot of new ground, and I love to see it. I love to see bands or even new bands, but bands that I know and love, just keep coming out with content. And I'm also hearing rumblings about new Judas Priest, maybe by the end of this year. They're closing in on putting the bow on a new record. So I can't wait to see that. Knowing Priest, it'll be a little, and knowing what they've said about it, it will be a little more progressive than Firepower, which is no bad thing. When Priest gets progressive, you come up with something we covered recently, Sin After Sin. So it's going to be great. And speaking of Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs, hey, Courtney, we were just saying we might have you back on for the history of punk, which you know far better than I do. For those of you who don't know, Courtney was actually in a punk band of her own by the name of Fang for a while, and they kick ass. You should go look them up if you can find it. Other than that, she's a great person and great to talk to in general, but especially about music. She is just so passionate and knows a lot. And also used to live in Boston, which I won't hold against her because I used to too. But no, I mean, with that being said, Overkill is yeah, I'm not going to address most of that, but I haven't seen the video for it. I've just listened um to the album itself, but I may have to check that out. I can't speak to any of that on YouTube at all. So yeah, I have no idea, man. I don't know what they're trying. I mean, I always never try to look too deep into the meaning behind a lot of shit because that's how you get into trouble with a lot of these bands because they're saying some shit that's either really controversial or let's put it this way, not friendly to people who make a living on the internet and or just have a show on the internet. And yeah, it's interesting. But I will say the album itself absolutely kicks ass. These guys have always been great. If you're especially if you're into like the real deep thrash bands, like once you get beyond the big four bands like last week's Subject, Exodus, Testament, which we're going to be covering very soon here, Megadeth, which we're also going to be covering pretty soon here, I think. Um, and also my first delvings into death metal with a band that I've kind of latched onto by the name of Bolt Thrower. Some of you guys may be familiar. Um, we may have some special guests on for that one. Guys who've been trying to get me into death metal forever and have not been successful until I kind of stumbled across Bolt Thrower because apparently a lot of their lyrics are inspired by Warhammer 40k. So that kind of perked up on my radar for those of you who saw the stream earlier this week with Random Fandom, which we're going to be doing more of. Not necessarily 40k, but we are going to be doing Battletech for sure, obviously. We're going to be doing maybe an entire stream on the Horus Heresy because that's kind of a different era from normal Warhammer. Warhammer Fantasy, not really, because I never really dug into fantasy that much. I just identify with 40k. But I may have to dig into fantasy at some point too. If you guys can recommend some really good places to start, maybe some old school Star Trek because I love me some Trek talk. And especially talking about some of the old movie soundtracks. Like it's still packed up in a box, but I'm going to have to go find it for this one. My copy of the Star Trek The Motion Picture soundtrack on vinyl. It's one of the few albums I own on vinyl, and it's one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time. So we'll get into that. But it was really cool. I want to do a lot more with that kind of thing, and maybe I'll have some of you guys on to talk about it with me. Fizjozo, who's usually in chat, and we run our own little streams on usually animes that he's recommended to me for over on his channel. We stream sometimes, and it's usually a really great conversation because a lot of the stuff he's recommended to me I really like. So, and we had that stream on 40k, and outside of a couple of technical issues right at the beginning there, it was really a great conversation and a really good primer on the main factions of 40k, unless you play Tau, in which case, no, bad. Stop that. I'm just kidding, guys. If you're into 40k, I love you. We just love giving the Tau shit. Oh, if you've never seen Star Trek, we need to fix that because we're gonna do. Oh, shut up, Papa Cotton. I talk about it all the time on here, and you love it. Or you just tune out at that point. In which case, oh well. I'm a huge Trekkie. I will draw the line at JJ Trek, and most of Kurtzman Trek as well. Although the third season of Picard has been impressing me. We may talk about that. And Strange New Worlds as well, surprisingly. I've been enjoying that. I've heard some, shall we say, interesting things about season two, so I'm not sure where that's going to go. But that'll be kind of a side thing to this channel. As you guys know, I'm more of a music centered channel. I like talking about this shit. And this channel was basically set up as me to rant as a way to rant about things I enjoy. So we'll get used to that. But yeah, I'm gonna go probably hurl now because I have not been feeling well. But I'm really glad you guys showed up just to hang out with me for a few minutes and talk about this. I wanted to make you guys aware of it if you haven't seen it before. Yeah, and yes, Soul Assassin. I miss the days when Trek and Star Wars fans could throw down in comment sections, and neither one of them get butthurt about it. Like, especially being a fan of both. Like, it was always hilarious to like pick a side in an argument and just go for it, and nobody got butthurt about it. Everyone just had a good time, and some really good points got made. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go here real quick. But thank you guys for hanging out. Um, go listen to this record if you haven't already. It's amazing. And I will see you guys on Thursday for part 3 of the history of rock and roll. And with that all being said, take care, stay safe. I love you all, and I'll catch you next time.